go. Okay, well, hello everybody. Thank you for watching. I'm here with Avril. She's here from London, and will share a little bit more about herself and her practice and how she came to be a coach. So with that, Avril, share with us your first and last name, the name of your coaching business, a little bit about yourself, and whatever you want to share about your practice.
Yes. Hi, I'm Avril Lobo. I am a trauma-informed leadership coach and also a trauma recovery coach at my own business, which is coached by Avril. I primarily work with clients from all over the world, but essentially mostly over Zoom and sometimes in person as well, in London or from where I live on the southeast coast of England. So yeah, that's what I currently do.
Great, wonderful. And how did you come upon coaching as your purpose?
So it started with me actually being more towards a professional mentor, so mentor for leadership development and career strategy when I was in my corporate role. And as part of that, I started to realize that this is something I really want to do, and it started to excite me more and more, working with people, but also working with and collaborating with people in a safe space, in a container, really listening into those conversations and thinking about why is it that the things that they're sharing with me and the places they want to go and the things they want to achieve, why is that important to them? And sort of collaborating with them to move them forwards. And so I started to first think about, is this a real career option, and could this be something I would do moving on from a career in marketing, which is where I was essentially. And then I had my own experience with big burnout, and I had an experience with PTSD. And as I moved through that, I think it became more and more clear to me that this is the direction I wanted to go in. I had also benefited from both therapy and also then post traumatic growth coaching. And having had that immersive experience and having moved through that entire continuum, I was like, this is my purpose. I'm going to come back to this. So once I was able to and signed off well enough to continue on this career path, I then undertook my first certification from the International Coaching Federation. And so, yes, I've been coaching for about 4 years now. And yeah, couldn't be more happier than I've ever been.
So, having been someone who has been a consumer of both therapy and coaching, would you be able to share with the audience how you experience them as different and unique, and possibly how they may overlap as well?
Sure. I think the first thing I want to say, and I say this now with the benefit of hindsight, is that for me, both therapy and coaching started very much in the present moment. I know that there can be, and often enough, there is conversation around how therapy is very much looking at the past and coaching is very much looking at the future. But I think I want to just articulate that both of those things for me, I always felt like they start in the present. And then it's about how the past impacts on the present. And then with coaching, how do you want to build from the present to the future? What I found very beneficial from a therapy point of view is looking at that root work and looking at where things may have started and how they're impacting on things now. But again, having worked with a therapist who understood as well that that was not just a place to leave it. Again, taking actions and moving forwards. Coaching again, then I think felt really powerful in terms of, okay, there's been all of this processing work of the wounds and the pain and the trauma, but now how do I build forwards from there? And I think coaching can be I know coaching can be very powerful in terms of taking those actions forward and putting in that sustainable behavior change, the mindset, all of those different skills in terms of sort of just continuing that momentum forwards.
Yeah, it sounds like coaching is sort of an application of what is learned in the therapeutic process. So you apply what you learned to real life and
Yes,
and that helps sustain growth.
I agree. Yes.
Yes, great. I do have another sort of a question that I hadn't prepared. And that is, how would you say, and you're completely fine to not answer if you want to decline, but your own experience with PTSD, how that may have informed your choice to become a coach? Um, I guess that's the essence of my question. How and if it informed your decision.
I think for me, having lived through that experience, I wanted to have some way to make sense of the present, because suddenly, with that experience, everything I knew to be normal fell apart. And all of the foundations of what I knew fell apart. They were probably shaky to begin with.
Mm,
But I think for me, what that did throughout that experience was kept me grounded in terms of what would now be meaningful and purposeful. And so, where pre PTSD, what I had considered training as a coach, I think it was still coming very much from my previous corporate mindset of this is how I want, to take mentoring forward, etc. Um, but once I had the PTSD experience and had built forwards from there, it became very much purpose led. And I started to think about how something like PTSD can absolutely floor people and floor someone for a very, very long time. And it really requires building those steps and, as you mentioned before, applying what's learned and then just continuing to build forwards from there. I think it gave me, I know I can say that with confidence, it gave me a very different perspective after PTSD and after post traumatic growth to come to coaching and then do the training from there.
mm,
I think it definitely deepened some of my own skills around the listening, but also put some boundaries around some of my other capacity, like empathy, where before empathy was just being absorbing everyone else's stuff. I think the way of working with clients and all. So I think PTSD gave me a completely different lens in terms of how I approach coaching and how it's become much more purposeful and meaningful to the work I do, but also the clients I work with.
yeah, I suppose that is post-traumatic growth in action. Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to think of it that way. Yes. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. How would you say, or how do you see actually trauma coaching integrating into your existing practice?
I think for a while, I'm just gonna own up to this. I think for a while, I knew this is where I wanted to go. But as someone who trained as a peer coach, I was very much focused on performance-led coaching and what people do from there on. But the fact is that some or many of us will be carrying certain things with us that will still imprint on the present. And so I know this as well when I've been in coaching with certain non-trauma led coaches that can make doing the work that much harder. It can feel like the goals are for the sake of doing the goals, the achievement is for the sake of doing the achievement, but there are other things that are sitting there very much in the present that are sort of operating behind the scenes. And so, in terms of doing the work of trauma recovery coaching, trauma informed coaching, for me, it's very much bringing that lens again to be with the client who needs that level of support, and again, creating, I think, a lot more safety for that individual to go, okay, what pace do we want to work with? Because I know that some clients in a non-trauma led way, they can move much faster. But
Mhm.
sometimes there is that need to slow things down, look a little bit deeper, and take things at a different pace. So I think for me, trauma recovery coaching is where I wanted to go anyways.
Mm.
It took until last year before I did the certification with yourself to really own up to that. And really, I think it's brought a lot more of, again, my purpose-led work to what I want to do in my practice.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. And I do appreciate the emphasis on pacing and working with trauma, that it can be really easy to sort of, yeah, let's go fast and get her done. But sometimes that is not helpful in the long run. So that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, how, let me ask them, what inspires you and how does your work with clients fuel your inspiration?
I think the thing that inspires me, and I remember this jumped at me when I first started the trauma recovery coaching course with yourself. I think that the thing that inspires me and the thing have come to realize is that human capacity that we have for strength, and
Mhm.
that everybody has a capacity that's just it's infinite, and that we can just continue to build and just draw from it. And I think this is what I bring to my work. I'm here because the therapists and the coaches and the people who supported me were able to create that space in which I could draw from and continue to draw from. And I think this is what keeps me going in my work as well, is to to do the work on myself and look after myself and to nurture my goals and my capacity as well, so that I could then be, create that space and bring all of my coaching skill set and tool set, etc., to help the individuals who need to do this work. And I think that's what inspires me, is that I'm partnering with someone who's going to go on to do something amazing and magnificent in their relationships, in their work, and essentially make their part of the world better. And I think it's such a privilege to be part of change, and people who are breaking into generational patterns, who are just doing something more. So yeah, I think that's what inspires me, is that as human beings we have this capacity for change and for strength, and that I can sort of be that catalyst for change, and then someone else will go on to do that as well. I don't know if I've answered your question, but
Oh,
that's
you certainly
that's how it
have.
seems to me.
Well, I can say that your capacity to see strengths is probably one of your gifts.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And just to sort of lean into what you said, our clients do great things. And I always think about, changing the world one person at a time. And that's kind of what our clients are doing.
Yeah, yeah,
That's great.
sure.
Okay. So I'm so grateful for your time today and for your sharing with our audience about yourself and what you hope to do and what you have done. How can people find you if they're looking for a coach?
So the quickest ways to find me is I'm on LinkedIn. If you use my name to look for me, Avril Lobo. I also have my own website, which is www.coachedbyavril.com. If you put that into Google, I'm easy to find. Those are the quickest ways to find me. And through each of those, if you did want to speak to me, or if you know someone that I could support in your network, then there are ways to get in touch with me or book a consult. But yeah, those are the two ways to get in touch with me.
That's great. And I'll also share information across our social media platforms, and you're listed on our website so people can find your information there as well.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.